Welcome to another episode of the Little Radio Show. My name is Sandra Fernandez, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Juan Alanis and Anjelica Cazares, and we're bringing you small talk about big topics. In this week's In Case You Missed It, we take a look at Kim Kardashian's most recent attempt to break the internet, and a couple of things where the O.J. Simpson name has come up in the news and in local and in entertainment. We also, yes, we're going to say the D word again, Donald Trump, and the effect that he's had on voter registrations and people becoming citizens this year so that they can vote. And we talk about how Superstore, Shades of Blue, and Telenovela have done this year in their premiere year, and whether or not we think they're coming back for a second year. Just a reminder that you can catch us every week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on hmsnetradio.org. Our show archives and the link to our iTunes and Stitcher channels are available at thelittlерadioshow.com. Hello, audience. No, sorry. What I wanted to do is, have you ever seen the movie with Robin Williams and Good Morning Vietnam? And he goes into his first spiel. I want to do, one day,
we need a line.
Our audience are going to listen in, and I'm just going to go off like that, like I've had 3 espressos that morning or something like that. But hi, everybody. This is Sandra Fernandez, and welcome to another episode of the Little Radio Show. And this is this week's In Case You Missed It. And I am going to let my co-hosts introduce themselves so you know who we are.
All right, so this is Anjelica Cazares. You also know me as Crafty Thrifter. I am the founder of Crafty Thrifter, also the co-founder of WannaWords.com.
And this is Juan Alanis. I'm the other co-founder of Juana Words, and your third co-host for the Little Radio Show.
And so I know that this week, I don't believe she's ever been a topic on the show, but this week we are talking Kim Kardashian.
Why?
Kim K.
Why?
Kim K.
Why?
She's trying to break the internet again.
Okay, so I have been completely unplugged and out of sync. How is she trying to break the internet?
So she took a picture.
In the mirror. It was a reflection of herself in the mirror, and it was actually her completely nude.
Yeah, it was like her completely nude. It was like she just had a baby.
There's no way that was accidental.
No,
it's not
she
accidental.
Did it on purpose.
It was in a purpose picture, but
it's created a lot of buzz because
she took a selfie of her, and in the back you could see the reflection of her naked.
No.
It's a front picture.
It's a front-facing picture. She's in front of the mirror and took a picture. Oh. And you know what this reminded me of? We were talking about this. I'm sure, in case you missed it, news. Here we go. I'm going to go about the lady who was completely naked off of 290.
Well, that's.
I'm sure everybody heard it.
But that's the funny thing is, like, I was having the conversation with somebody this morning, and we were laughing because we're like, well, Kim Kardashian was trying to break the internet, but by taking a nude picture, and this lady in Houston, for those of you that don't know, she was naked on top of a tractor trailer on 290, and I think she probably broke the internet more than Kim Kardashian did.
She was completely nude on the she was in traffic. Yeah. She got off her car. She was completely nude. She jumped on a big rig, an 18-wheeler, and jumped on top.
Whose 18-wheeler was it?
Just somebody's. I think anyone's. And she got up there and she stood up there for hours dancing. And would somebody say, that girl is enjoying her time? Yeah. That girl's up there enjoying her time. She's even having time to do her little messy bun. So Kim Kardashian tried to break the internet. But this girl did it.
But she got a lot of backlash from, well, not backlash, but a lot of people were talking about it, like a lot of the mom and the parenting websites, because they were like, if I had 5 minutes to myself, I wouldn't take a naked selfie. I would take a shower.
5 minutes, yeah, you can't do a lot in 5 minutes. They're Kim Kardashian it now. Like this is a thing.
But
this is what they do.
That's not the first time that she tries to break the internet. Like she's tried a couple of times.
I don't think she's actually
already.
Trying to break the internet. I think she's honestly just gonna keep pissing people off.
Well, I think it's an attention thing. That's how she makes her living,
absolutely.
and she has to make a living, and so she's doing it now with this picture. But tomorrow,
I have to say, there's not much we can say about her taking off her clothes. Like there isn't.
I
think this is interesting that this is it. This is her thing.
What the kicker was, and we could end it on this, is that Bette Midler sent a tweet because
I read that.
Bette Midler sends a tweet about everything now, but she's sent a tweet and was like, if Kim Kardashian wants us to see something that we haven't seen of her before, she needs to swallow her phone.
She said she needs to swallow the camera at this point if she wants us to see anything else. It's true. She has shown it all. before like when she was younger, before being pregnant, while she was pregnant, now after she's pregnant. Like, it's okay. We get it. You're very pretty. But I get it.
How jaded have we become that it's a blip for a day and it's done? It's like,
it's no longer 15 seconds of fame. It's like, it's a pass by.
Yeah, it's 0.15.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, well, speaking of notorious, O.J. Simpson is a name that many of us are
very familiar with.
Well, that's refamiliarizing ourselves with, because I honestly can't believe they made it into a show.
OJ?
Yeah, the O.J. Simpson case. I can't believe that they made it into a show. How? I mean,
there's a show?
Yeah, there's a show.
I didn't know there was a show.
Yeah. So, who is it? Jamie Foxx, or who's starring in it? No, it's Cuba Gooding Jr.
So it's an actual show that's going to come out every week.
It's
on air.
Out. It's on air right now. It's on cable.
You're kidding me.
I saw all of the promos for it. And I thought Kardashians.
OJ...
Who can tell me what the connection is between Kardashians and O.J. Simpson?
The lady was Ken Jenner was the best friend of.
No, she wasn't. She was married to the guy that actually represented him.
Friend of what was her name? Nicole.
Okay, she was also married.
Nicole, right?
So there's a connection there.
There's two different connections. She was a very good friend of Anna Nicole, but she was married to the guy that represented him.
Yes,
for the case.
That's what it was.
And but yeah, I thought you guys were going to talk about the fact that they found a knife in his domain, like in his residence. Like they knocked it down and they found a knife. And
tell us.
Well, I thought that's what. So yeah, they found a knife. I believe they were tearing down his home, and they found a knife when they were digging a buried knife. And now they're sending it to forensics and being see if this is the knife that it was used. I hate to think that the Kim Kardashian and O.J. Simpson, and this is culturally relevant. Like, this is it. Like, how numb have we gone to such things? If we don't want it to be
culturally relevant, we need to stop talking about it.
About them?
Yeah.
No, but it is culturally relevant. But these are the topics that we're talking about. It's the way they're handling things, the way everybody's viewing it, the way we're talking, it's unfortunate that this is it. And regardless of whether it has to do with us or not, or whether we talk about the topics or not, this is culturally relevant. And these are topics that I couldn't
believe that it was 20 years since the O.J. Simpson case, because I still remember it like that. It wasn't that long ago, and it's been over 20 years now. But
the most famous car chase, the slowest car chase in history. Thank you very much.
What was he driving?
A Bronco.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do we know that?
Drove that Bronco 30 miles an hour
down the freeway being chased.
This squadron of cars behind
I remember
them.
that. You remember they were doing the aerial view?
Yes.
And they were like 15 cars by. Where the hell?
Going?
And he called, what did he call in? Like a news station or something? And having a conversation?
I didn't know that he had a gun to his head the whole time. Those details, I just saw I think it was a recap of the thing, and they were talking about all the details, and I was like, I didn't even realize that he had, that he had a gun to his head. But then they were talking about, this was kind of one of the first cases where the American people
public
and they were really rallying behind him. They were kind of, supporting this person because he was like a well-known celebrity.
It was that the country was split. The country was torn at the fact that this was the big, because it is cultural.
But when he was driving on the freeway, there were people on the side of the road that were cheering him on.
Yeah. And there was also people who were calling in why don't they shoot him already? Why don't they get him? Do you remember this?
Yeah.
There was the country was split. But
how surreal is it? All you did was go in and do your job and go in, and you had this major case, right? And now there's somebody playing you on a TV show, and they're putting down all of this stuff. And I haven't watched the show, but I've seen commercials, and they're showing all these moments that probably didn't even happen, conversations
being exaggerated.
Yes, and so it's I don't know. That just seems to me that'd be a very surreal thing to happen.
The thing is, even now, there's a question of is he guilty? Is he not guilty? I think a lot of people are still split on that. Even whatever the finding was or whatever the ruling was, people still think one way or the other. And the other thing is, like, for the family, I've seen like interviews where the family talks about the show, and they're like of the victims I'm talking about, and they're kind of very offended that
I would be
they're having to relive this again because
based on
and then not even on what, like, there's debate on what's factual and what's not factual, so they're having to relive it and then having to, like, well, that wasn't true or this was true or that wasn't, so it's just like it's just bad all around. Like, who came up with this idea to bring back OJ? Like, I think we could have done without it.
He never left.
I think we could have done without that show.
He never left.
If you've actually seen the show, the OJ Simpson show, we'd love to hear some feedback from you as to what you thought of it.
I want to know what's your opinion.
And that's this week, in case you missed it. If you're just tuning in, this is the Little Radio Show on hmsnetradio.org.
So recently there was an article that came out, and a lot of people were saying, this is great, this is a good thing, but it was saying that more Latinos now are are eligible to be citizens, are actually going and becoming citizens. And why? Because now the reality that many thought for a long time wasn't going to be a reality, that Donald Trump could, the presidential candidate Donald Trump on the Republican side could actually win the primary and then go into becoming the contender for the presidential
candidate for the Republican Party. Yeah, that's it. That's crazy.
And so, like, now they're saying that more and more people are going to register to vote against him.
Okay, so we don't really talk politics on this show as a rule. And so I'm not going to go and tell you not to vote for Donald Trump, although I may have to unfriend each and every one of you if you do.
Uh-oh.
The reality is that he does, in fact, have a wonderful chance of winning. And however you feel about Donald, and about his ability to run for office, he is actually right now the top contender to be elected for president. And some people, I have, like Juan, seen some articles that state that a lot of people who previously hadn't registered to vote of the Latino community are registering to vote so that they can vote against him. And
the thing is also that they're, just to give you an idea of the figures, they're saying that about 1 million people are expected to become citizens this year, which is 200,000 more than would in a regular year.
Can they still register to vote?
Yes.
Is it still possible?
You can register immediately. I know the League of Women Voters in Houston has people who show up at the citizenship, the swearing-in ceremony, to sign them up to vote immediately after.
Oh, cool.
Now, I think that the deadline to vote will be somewhere in like August or September, so that they'll be eligible to vote in November for the presidential elections.
Mm-hmm. I know that because I have family members who are residents, like lifelong residents, and who did not that they refused to become citizens, but they just didn't. They didn't bother. It's okay. Yeah, they didn't bother. But
there was no benefit, or there was no no urgency.
It sounds like now, I know there are many like that in the families that they prefer to keep their citizenship in their national countries and where they were born and raised. But this is like a thing now.
But the real question is like, okay, you're gonna become a citizen, but when it comes time, are you really gonna vote?
Yes,
because
there's a lot of people who are registered or eligible to vote who don't show up to vote. I mean, seriously, I showed up at the primaries to vote, and it's one of those things, like, I don't know about in the rest of the country, but in my polling area, you had to go to a different area depending on which primary you were voting in.
Like Democratic and Republican.
And so, like, some places, if you showed up and that was your polling area, well, no, they were only doing the Democratic one or they were only doing the Republican one. And so that made it a lot more difficult for people. And I saw all these memes, same as you, on the voting day saying, I can buy stocks, pay bills, all this stuff online. I can do all this stuff online, but I have to show up and go on a machine where to select the next thing, I have to move a dial.
But the thing is, like, that may be, but you still have a responsibility to exercise your vote. Because
Absolutely.
as a citizen, as somebody who has
the
ability to vote and
if
and make
you
a
have
decision.
The ability, that is our take.
Well,
if
hold
you
on,
have
let me just finish.
I'm sorry.
As a citizen of this country who has the right to vote, and especially if you're a member of a community that's underserved and underprivileged, and that's being with whatever way you decide to vote, but that's being targeted by this hate speech and these negative connotations, then I think you as a citizen of that community have a responsibility to
I'm sorry. And this is where we sometimes split. I think if you think it is necessary, then do it. If I encourage people to vote, but and encourage anybody to do anything, I feel I'm pressing on whatever it is that I'm believing. I understand that the outcome is going to affect you whether you want it to or not. Mm-hmm. But do I think it's a responsibility?
Yes.
Not as much.
Seriously?
Not as, because if that is you decide whether you want to make that choice or not.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's your prerogative, but I mean, what is the benefit of not voting?
What?
In an election year,
I don't know.
Like, what's the benefit of not voting?
There are responsibilities when it comes to vote. As soon as you vote, you have other responsibilities. As it happens, now whether you think so or not, now people know how you vote.
But
now people know whether you're Democratic or even if you don't want to.
So
right,
what if you go
Sandra?
to a public thing? Hold on, I know you don't like what I'm saying, and
no,
don't rush me. Don't rush me, damn it.
Go around the table.
But also on top of that, now you have a responsibility to go and do actual, your county is asking you now to go do, what is it called? Jury duty or this or that. Okay. There is a responsibility. I understand that.
Jury duty in our county is selected by driver's licenses. You don't want to do jury duty, you don't get a driver's license. It's not by voters registration. It used to be. It's not anymore.
Okay, now give us your perspective.
Now, hold on. This might change me. No, but it is. Yes. There are responsibilities when you do vote.
The reality is that in local elections, 100 votes, there are elections out there where quite literally it came down to 7 votes determined that this person won versus that person. Uh-huh. So if you don't show up and you don't let your vote get counted, one of the main... You're risking that someone get elected that you don't want to get elected. Now, let's say there's an election and you don't feel strongly about it. You're still supposed to go and vote. The U.S., is, and I hate to call it a democracy because we're sort of a democracy, but in the U.S., your vote counts in local, state, and a lot of elections. In the presidential election, however, is still an electoral college.
That means that.
While the popular vote is courted and taken into consideration,
that's unfortunate.
The popular vote is not, in fact. Am I incorrect? We're not the ones who actually elect the president.
No, we don't. No, we don't, and that's unfortunate.
But we elect the Congress. According to this website I'm looking at right now, and y'all tell me if this is wrong, the 2000 election was the most recent when the candidate who received the greatest number of electoral votes and thus won the presidency didn't win the popular vote.
Yes, I remember that. You remember that? Like, who doesn't remember that? That was such a controversial...
George W. Bush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But let's go back to the original topic, though, is whether or not... people should... Mm-hmm. I absolutely believe that it is our duty as citizens.
I think we should have a conversation.
Not gone to vote on occasion? Yes, I am going to sit here and tell you with absolute honesty that there have been several occasions which I didn't show up to vote. I'm sorry about it in retrospect. So I'm a little late to the this is my duty kind of thing in an era where we're so fragmented and where people are just so marginalized and so divided when it comes to stuff. You have to make your vote count. That's my belief.
I think we should maintain the conversation. Whether you think it's suited for you or not to vote, that's completely, as Juan said, your prerogative. That's up to you.
No, I disagree with you. I don't think that it's your prerogative whether or not you vote. We should all be forced to vote. Now, wait, no one should tell us who to vote for. And I'm not going to tell people who to vote for. And, whatever. But I do think that if we live in a society where 100,000 people are eligible to vote and only 18,000 show up, that's sad. That's sad, and it's disappointing, and it just shows where we're going.
But like you, I've there have been elections where I haven't voted, where I just was like, I was that apathetic voter that was like, I really don't care.
My vote doesn't count.
I really don't care one way or the other, or my vote doesn't count, and I didn't vote. But now I do think there's value, especially in this election. And this may be me with my own political views, but I think that there is a need to vote and to exercise that right.
I think that there's a pretty good chance, as with everything.
With that said, I will be voting. I will, and Anjelica will be voting. With that said, I will be voting.
Just a reminder, you can catch new episodes of The Little Radio Show on hmsnetradio.org every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Time. For a lot of TV shows, the season is over. We're starting to see the season finales. We saw the midwinter finales, and even some late start seasons are starting up again. So we have talked a little bit about Superstore and Shades of Blue and Telenovela. I know that Juan suggested that we come back and recap a little and take a look at how they did and whether or not we can expect to see them again.
Well, first of all, can we just start off by saying that, they were all really good shows. Like, I really enjoyed all of them, which I was surprised. I was surprised that, because sometimes you've had other Latino shows that haven't been as good, but, all of these three shows I've enjoyed. I know Anjelica's laughing because she doesn't really enjoy Shades of Blue, but
or I really don't enjoy Shades of Blue at all. I'm sorry.
I watched it a couple of times just because to get into it, and I don't know if it's because I'm not a J-Lo fan or that's just not my type of.
Well,
Sandra, it's just bad. It's bad.
No, I mean, it's a little slow, and I think that has to do with the fact that it's a first season, it's a lower budget, so I'm hoping that
she has a lower budget.
The
show does, as opposed to like Cloud9 or Telenovela.
Well, for that kind of show.
So
for Cloud9 and Telenovela to be doing better than Shades, Blue Shade, or what is it? I'm sorry, I don't even know the name.
No, but Telenovela,
Shades of Blue.
But
Shades
the thing
of Blue.
Is,
like if they have more budget and they're doing better, there is a problem. I doubt her budget for that show is any less than. I'm almost assuming it's even more at this point.
Well, I don't know what the budgets are for each individual show, but I know that Shades of Blue and Superstore both already have been renewed for a second season. So my hope
really
is that
Superstore. Oh my God, I am so I do not miss this show. I am okay. So what happens is we go on Hulu and we rewatch the shows. No, Monday comes around and it's Monday. I'm gonna miss it. It's 9:00. I need to see it right away. I need to watch it, air it. I haven't done that in forever. It's not something I do, but I look forward to it every Monday. And then when it didn't come out the last Monday, Edgar was like, I'm sorry, Boy was like, Mom, the season's over, Mom. You have to stop. You got to wait for the next season. And I'm like, I didn't know that for
going back to the original topic, Lo, I think that the fact that there were three shows and that they were three shows that have been relatively successful in terms of garnering an audience and having two of them being continued. That's still out. The jury's still out on Telenovela whether or not it'll return.
I really enjoyed Telenovela. I didn't expect to. The first episode showed. I'm like, it's okay. I like the music, and I wasn't too sure. It grew on me, and I really, really ended up enjoying it. And that kind of comedy doesn't normally appeal to me.
What I really liked about Telenovela is that they showed a variety of Latinos in the cast, and that they were all really good. And Eva Longoria was really good and is a really good comedic actress.
Kate del Castillo on as a guest.
My reaction to it every time it came out, I was like, God, they're so stupid. Let's watch it again. It's so stupid.
Can I just say I can't remember her name, but the lady that plays the older actress.
Oh, she's so funny.
She's so great.
She's
and
hilarious.
I was like, and I couldn't figure out who she was.
Yeah.
And then I figured out finally that she was Robert's girlfriend and Everybody Loves Raymond, the Italian girlfriend.
Yes.
And I was like, that's
I
why
didn't
she
know
looks
that
so
either
familiar.
until you pointed it out to me.
That looks like a helmet.
I was like, I didn't even know that she was Latina until this show.
But she played in Italian.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened. That even from back then, the Italians play Hispanic, Hispanics play Italians.
So, in the vein of the same thing, though, we now have, and I'm seeing the announcements for Queen of the South on USA.
Yeah.
And if you have never heard of La Reina del Sur, which is the narconovela, the telenovela that made Kate del Castillo an international star. Because she'd already been a star before. We all knew who she was. But La Reina del Sur was such a huge hit. The production quality was so. I
think it was the most expensive telenovela made in that point.
At that point, and so, it also
well made.
It's pretty much the novela launched the narconovela trend, and so it's this huge thing. It was based on a book. That now USA is turning Queen of the South into a show that they're doing as well. So, of course, because of the way that it's set in Spain, the woman is Mexican, etc., there should be quite a few Latino actors in there.
Expected, yes.
We do.
Yes. We expect, yes, because of actually the name.
So I'm used to seeing American shows made Latino. This is like only the second or the third time that I've seen a show that started out as a Latino thing that was done in the U.S. So Betty La Fea
was one, yeah.
Yes,
Jane the Virgin,
Ugly Betty, Jane the Virgin. There's this one. Wait, I'm missing one. There was that one. About the women, oh Lord. Desperate Women.
Yeah,
Mujeres
Asesinas.
Yes, Mujeres
Asesinas.
Yeah. Or something like that. Yes. Yeah. So now we're starting to see this, like these international Latino shows that are being converted to the U.S. U.S. has been copying British shows forever.
But you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm not gonna do a good job of explaining. So let me just caveat that from the beginning. But I'll just go out, and this kind of reminds me. First, I'm excited about that there are so many new Latino programs because I'm hoping that this kind of opens the door, and that the quality and the of the shows and the roles that Latinos are playing, keep getting better and better. But two, this kind of reminds me of something that Latino USA, the other podcast, was talking about, and they were talking about how Latino culture is really infusing every part of American culture.
That's been forever, though. I think that's been forever.
But they were talking about specifically
it's just more
about
noticeable
music
now.
And how, like, American music, typically it's more about a scorned lover who, is like, retaliating against their ex-lover, or they're talking about how they're independent, they don't need anybody, et cetera, and for Hispanic music generally, or Latin American music, it's generally like about love or an apology, or it's very like romantic. And so they were saying
very romanticized. It's very it's me and you against the world. It's me and you. And and that does take place now.
But they were saying about Justin Bieber's song "Sorry" that this song itself was one of the few songs that actually had a lot of is about an apology, and it's been a huge hit, and then it also has some of the infuses are Hispanic, so that that kind of also had something to do with the success of the music
of that song
because it was it had those like nuances that were a little bit Latino,
that makeup nuance of it being of the Hispanic Latino thing. And I do agree with that song. It is very much it is an apology. It is forgive me, and as you know, the corridos and some of the the corridos are. Some of them are like that. It's like I love you, we're that type of thing. Yeah. And I do agree. So we could have foresaw this, a lot of this kind of back and forth crossover where these Spanish shows that do well. And I am to say this, networks, why didn't you do this a long time ago? You knew that those novelas back then were like that was a thing. That was a thing that were people, like Leave It to Beaver. That was an American thing, and these novelas is what the Hispanic families did to watch these TVs, and this was kind of inevitable, I think. But I think these networks should have done before, I think they should have taken notice before.
It was a long time coming.
I think the conversation should take notice before. So taking the devil's advocate kind of thing, shows have been launched previously that didn't do well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously.
Right. Yeah, because they weren't done right.
Well,
I think they just
weren't
threw it
done
together.
right, or there was the chemistry was wrong, or the day and the time that they were doing was wrong, or the show just wasn't good, or whatever.
It was too stereotypical.
Or there was too stereotypical. Oh, well, for those of you out there listening, let us know if you know whether or not Telenovela got picked up again, and we'll be on the lookout for other shows to come back and report on. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. We invite you to check out our iTunes and our Stitcher channels and leave us a rating or a review. You can find the link to both channels at thelittleradio.show.com. Most new listeners of this show found out about it through a friend or a blog post. If you're someone who has told someone else about The Little Radio Show, thank you so much. Really, it means a lot to us. Keep telling your friends, and if you happen to write something about the show, send us a link or tag us somehow so we can share it.